What's going on, YouTube? Let me get this turned down. What's going on, YouTube? We'll pause the music, give the music a pause, check my levels here, make sure I'm not yelling too loudly at you. My name is Bill. This is KO Bets. We've got a good show to go tonight. We've got UFC Orlando. I'm a little under the weather. I've got some congestion and a sore throat. Got a cough going, so I'll try and mute myself if I'm going to cough out of respect for you. But yeah, we got that going on. I'm still pound for pound the best, even on my worst day. So it's been a couple of weeks, yeah? Before I get started, this is my channel, KO Bets. If you want to support me, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. You'll get notified when I go live. We gotta go over last week. 2 weeks ago, right? We've had a couple of football shows. I do those on Sundays. But we gotta go over the last event. Let's see here. Past. Oh yeah, we had the cancellation. In the main event, Derek Lewis was hospitalized. Great pick in Kennedy. Acosta, that was our pick. I think I might have gone with Andre Fiallo here. Let's double check that. Yeah, I did go with Andre Fiallo. I nominated a split decision as a possibility, but he just kind of got beat up in that fight. Jack Maddalena looked terrific. That was a solid pick. Andy got the finish. Charles Johnson, that was a great pick against Zalgis. Let's see. Was confident in Miles Johns. That's where we kind of heard about this James Krause drama that we're going to go over later in the show. Let's see. I had Marina Moroz, so it looks like we've gotten 2 fights wrong. Had Tercios. Had Charles Johnson. Oh, I'm going the wrong way. Vanessa, I did not have Vanessa. I took Oliveira, so that's 3 wrong. Brady Highstand and Natalia Silva, those were our picks. So overall, I think that was 7 wins, 3 losses, which isn't horrible. It was a bummer that main event was canceled, and then you get to UFC Orlando here, and there's just such an embarrassment of riches on this card. It's a really, really good card. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the strap down for a second. They're pretty heavy, the belts. So we've got UFC Orlando Fight Night, Thompson against Holland. We did have 1 fight cancellation, so now we're only doing 14 fights, still a lot of fights to go over. Tracy Cortez, Amanda Ribas, that got canceled. Hopefully rescheduled. That looked like a good fight on paper. The first fight of the night is Yasmin Jauregui taking on Estela Nunez. By the way, I'm drinking tea tonight, herbal tea. I'm trying to get better, so no booze. No booze. I think that's what got me into trouble, was like drinking over the holidays, volunteering at some events where there were a lot of people, visiting with people who were out of town and drinking a lot a couple of nights. I think that's what did me in. Yasmin is taking on Estela Nunez. Estela Nunez, 0-2 in the UFC. She did come into this. She faced two girls who were clearly out to grapple. Carnelossi, Sam Hughes. Two women who had grapple-heavy approaches and implemented those game plans against Estela Nunez. Yasmin's going to be a different fighter. She's 1-0 in the UFC. I think it's going to be a competitive fight. I think it's going to play out on the feet this time. Estela doesn't need to worry about Yasmin's takedown prowess. I don't think she's going to shoot for takedowns. So it's just a matter of who you like in this specific matchup. You can see if we go to Draftkings here, Yasmin is the significant favorite. I'm going to roll with Yasmin, kind of also fading Estela Nunez. Yasmin with 6 knockout victories on her resume, 2 out of her 9 victories, six knockout victories. I think she's just going to be the better fighter, probably have more power, has good cardio, looks fast. So yeah, give me Yasmin in this fight. I would say they're going to like it to go the distance. Odds makers do at -190. I'd say, yeah, I like the Yasmin decision at -110. I'm probably not going to bet on this fight. But I like Yasmin. If I do bet Yasmin, it'll probably be like a round robin scenario, where I'm just taking her on the money line. She does have the 6 KOs, so I don't feel. While I feel the decision makes a lot of sense, I'm not totally confident in that pick. So I like to err on the side of safety, and yeah, maybe I'm sprinkling Yasmin into a round robin because I'm a degenerate, and a little bit. But then if you get like 10 different fights and you're doing 10 cents a line, it exponentially kind of grows your bankroll. And it's a good way to offset risk. You're not doing, you're doing like 2 and 3 fight parlays. But yeah, it's a good way to kind of remove your personal bias if you want to do that. If you go with your gut and your instinct, that's, always a positive approach too. Marcelo Roja taking on Francis Marshall. Marcelo Roja is coming into this 0-1 in the UFC. Rough fight. Charles Jourdain, long layoff since that fight too. March 2021, almost a year and a half ago. Oh wait, no, he had another fight February 12th of this year. Okay, so it hasn't been that long of a layoff. So he's 0-2 in the UFC. I don't know why I have him on 0-1. He's 0-2. Francis Marshall is making his UFC debut. He's from Dana White's Contender Series. Showed a great gas tank in his Dana White Contender Series fight. Just had an excellent performance on the Dana White Contender Series. Tons of takedowns. I think there was a decision, unanimous decision is what he won. His opponent, Connor Matthews, kind of gassed out in that fight for sure. And Francis was able to pour it on him at the end. So I like Francis in this particular matchup. Marcelo Rojo, we've seen him get tired. He struggles on the mat. I think if Francis Marshall can implement grappling and get a takedown or two early, that'll probably be enough to just tire Marcelo Rojo out. That's just my opinion. I'm going to roll with Francis Marshall in this. He is the slight underdog. Slight favorite. Probably not going to bet on this one. If I had to take a pick, I would say the fight does go the distance. Odds makers disagree. I mean, so Rojo has a lot of, I believe, submission losses, right? 5 submission losses. But Marshall, he's got 4 submission wins. So I guess they're going to like the submission, but I don't know. Marshall's very green still. He's just, he's new to the UFC. He's 6-0 only. He wasn't fighting great fighters. And then, his toughest opponent was on Contender Series, and that's how it should be, right? Every fight, as you're growing, every fight should get more and more difficult as you're winning and passing those, challenges. I think he just needs to get takedowns in this, and he'll be good. But I'm definitely not betting this. I kind of like the decision. I guess, what is Rojo's win by? It's a lot of KOs, a lot of submissions. I mean, Marshall showed a good gas tank on Contender Series. I don't think he's going to gas out or be at a disadvantage on the mat. Is Rojo maybe the better striker? I'd agree with that for sure. But gosh, part of me just thinks it's maybe not going to be that easy to submit Rojo, but so that's why I'm saying decision. I mean, who's Rojo getting submitted by too? Kyler Phillips, John Castaneda, who's got a lot of experience. Yeah. I'm not sure who Levi is. I mean, I guess this guy could get submitted. It looks like a lot of his fights too have ended inside the distance, doesn't it? 1 and 2 in decisions. All right, I'm changing my bet. I'm going with the Francis Marshall submission. And that's what the odds makers like, I'm sure. Yeah, this decision or submission. I'm going to go with the submission. I think he catches him. Under the condition, he's drilling takedowns early. I still wouldn't bet it. I think if he's not getting those takedowns early, he might get a little bit hurt in the first couple of rounds on the feet. If it does go to a decision, it's a prayer, Nathan Levy taking on Genardo Valdez. Nathan Levy is 7-1. He's 1-1 in the UFC. Came off Contender Series. Valdez 0-1 in the UFC. Lost to Matt Frivola via KO. All 11 of Valdez's fights have ended inside the distance. He's never gone the full 3 rounds. Nathan Levy, he's got good submission prowess in his own right. I don't think this fight is guaranteed to end inside the distance. I really don't think it is. Nathan Levy is the favorite in this one, and I'm inclined to pick him, but I just haven't been super impressed with Levy, especially in his last fight. Who did he face? Not his last fight. The one against Rafa Garcia. Just looked tired. Didn't have the output really to compete. Looked hittable in that. The pace of Valdez is going to look really good early. This is a tough fight. I wonder what the odds makers have it at. Levy's at minus 200. Probably more technically sound. Valdez is for sure kind of crazy, and if Levy can survive the the crazy pace, could play in his favor. I think Valdez is dangerous against this type of opponent. Just kind of got caught against Frivola too. I'm going to switch my pick from Levy. We're going to go Valdez. And I think it ends inside the distance. I think someone's putting somebody away. What do the odds makers like? Yeah, they don't like this one to go the distance. Minus 330. Winning method. Levy submission. Is there room to bet on both of these and make money? Yeah. 75 cents if Levy gets the submission. $2.50 if Valdez gets the KO. $0.30 if it ends inside the distance. So maybe I'd entertain something like that. I don't know. I would do fight inside the distance maybe on a round robin. And it's purely because of Valdez. Like all 11 fights ending inside the distance and his style. He's kind of crazy. We got a lot of... This is a great card. I'm telling you. Darren Elkins that's my boy. One of my favorite UFC fights is his fight against Mirsad Bektic, and it was actually on Thompson versus Woodley 2. That card. Go watch Darren Elkins against Bektic. It was an insane fight. Just incredible comeback victory in the third. Loved every minute of it. It was awesome. And he's one of my favorites because of that fight. He's taken on Jonathan Pierce, who's a heavy, heavy favorite. Darren Elkins, he's on a one-fight win streak. Had a good performance his last fight, but just he's one fight removed from that Cub Swanson performance where he was just... It wasn't really good. Jonathan Pierce, on the other side, he does a lot of things that Darren Elkins does well. He's a good grappler. They both don't have like a great style in the stand-up department. They just kind of bite down on their mouthpiece and throw hard. I brought up that Cub Swanson fight. I just think I don't like Darren Elkins against like a younger fighter who's probably going to catch him with something at some point in this fight. Does have KO prowess. Jonathan Pierce does. I think Darren Elkins definitely has the skill set to put up a battle against Jonathan Pierce. They are both super durable. I just think at this point in their respective careers, Jonathan Pierce is the guy to go with. But I love Darren Elkins. I do feel confident in Jonathan Pierce to win this fight. You can't really ever count out Darren Elkins. If I had to make a prediction on the result of the fight, I'd say probably a Jonathan Pierce KO. Odds makers don't like it to go the distance. The KO is the favored. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if Darren Elkins does tough it out. I think the gas tank of both of these guys, as long as their chins hold up, it could be a decision. I'm just going to go with the younger and fresher fighter in Jonathan Pierce. Next fight is Michael Johnson taking on Mark Diakese. Michael Johnson is on a one-fight losing streak. Just lost a split decision to Malarkey. Did have a win before that, but he's 1-5 in his last 6. He's really not putting together good performances. He's talented. I think everyone watches his stand-up approach, and we're all impressed by it, but just isn't winning fights. Has good boxing, good hand speed, good power, and then he's going up against Mark Diakese, who I just think is a tough matchup, primarily from the grappling perspective. And I do think, Michael Johnson does have good takedown defense, but I don't know if it's that good. And this is a step up in competition for Mark Diakese, but the dude's just so persistent. He's improving in the stand-up department. He's on a 2-fight win streak. I think he can get the takedowns in this fight. I don't think... who is Johnson face that we could, put some context to grappling? Guida was taking him down. I'm sure Moises tried that. Actually, I'm not sure. Well, it was a submission win. I'm sure Ray did. So, I think Diakese can win this. I would say I like the decision as the result. Let's see what the odds maker's like. Diakese is the favorite, minus 330. I like him. Michael Johnson is dangerous for sure, and this is a step up in competition, but I like Diakese. Odds makers like this one to go the distance. They probably like the Diakese decision. They do at minus 120. I don't think Diakese's necessarily gonna spark Michael Johnson on the feet, or should be in that position where he's forced to just stand up and strike with Michael Johnson. I think he needs to mix in those takedowns, and he typically does. You can see a lot of takedowns per 15 minutes. His last fight especially, or maybe it was Borshev, 8 takedowns, 8 of 11. Borshev, I'm sure he took down Borshev. Borshev's just, terrible takedown defense. 11 of 18 takedowns. I think he's going to drill these takedowns, and I think he's going to get them. It's just my opinion. And he looks powerful in top position. I think it goes to a decision. Could he win via ground and pound? Maybe. I don't think so, but give me the Diakese via decision. Like Diakese as a betting piece, and Pierce, potentially a small parlay right there. Clay Guida taking on Scott Holtzman. Clay Guida from Round Lake, Illinois, representing Chicagoland suburbs. Outstanding fighter. He's 41 years old, still doing this. Lot of experience under his belt. Scott Holtzman, he's 39 years old. And he's coming off of a decent layoff. But I think just comparing the two fighters, Clay's been active, but Scott Holtzman his last two opponents, Mateus Gamrot and Beneil Dariush, and he got knocked out in both of those, so he probably had to take some time off. But it was a long layoff. I think he's got the stand-up advantage here. I think he's probably the better fighter, if I'm being honest. Doesn't have the best takedown defense, but he looks like he's going to be bigger. I think he can stand up against Clay Guida. Clay Guida, the thing about him is he just pushes like this crazy pace, and he's got tremendous cardio, outstanding output. I don't really think he can mess with Holtzman on the feet, but just that competitive mentality to go out there and get wins makes it kind of a sketchy fight to bet on. That and Holtzman, we haven't seen him in I think over a year, so it's just kind of a sketchy fight. Sketchy fight. I'm gonna go with Scott Holtzman here. I'm gonna go with, I guess, a decision. But odds makers like it to go the distance. I don't love that pick. I'm not super confident in a Holtzman decision. Maybe I'm inclined to say, like, yeah, this fight ends via decision. Like, maybe that's the bet I put in a round robin. But yeah, sketchy fight in my opinion. Kind of given their age, on paper, I gotta say it looks good for Holtzman. That's my feeling on it. On paper, it looks good for Holtzman. The next fight we've got is Angela Hill taking on Emily Ducati. Is it Ducati? I think it's Ducati. Angela Hill, one fight win streak, looks really good against Lupi Godinez. I picked Lupi. I'm a big Lupi Godinez fan. I think she's really competitive, and I kind of liked her to get takedowns and just honestly run over Angela Hill. And Angela Hill looked freaking out. She looked amazing in that fight. She looked really, really good. Muay Thai striker, terrific stand-up. Yeah, definitely a good fighter. Also, I watched the weigh-ins. Looks a little bit bigger. Emily is heading into this. She's 1-0 in the UFC. She had a good stand-up victory against Penne, but she didn't shoot for any takedowns in this fight, which I guess you don't want to necessarily do against Penne, but I think she needs to get takedowns to win this fight, and I'm not super confident we're going to see her do that. I think I'm going to roll with Angela Hill here to win, probably a stand-up decision. She's on paper, I think this takedown defense is kind of misleading. I mean, it looked good against Lupi. How many? I don't know if Lupi really attempted takedowns though. That would surprise me. It just didn't look good. But she did, 1 of 3. Jandiroba, who's obviously a really good grappler, had a terrific grappling performance against Angela. I don't think Emily's at that level, but she does have a wrestling background, good power. I think this just sets up to be a good fight for Angela Hill. She is the underdog, slight underdog, plus 105. I'm sure odds makers like this to go the distance. Ooh. Minus 360, yeah. I apologize, I'm sick. Angela Hill to win by decision, plus 130. I like all those. Nico Price taking on Phil Rowe. Nico Price taking on Phil Rowe. Nico Price is on a 1-fight win streak. Lots of experience in the UFC. Kind of a long layoff heading into this fight, but fan favorite. Kind of an exciting style. Yeah, there's a lot to like about Nico Price. He's entertaining. He'll be a mainstay in the UFC, I feel like, for a little while, regardless if he's winning or losing. He's just a good guy to have on the roster. Phil Rowe, really tall, lanky, stand-up striker. I'd have to give Nico Price the advantage in the takedown department and maybe in the output and gas tank. But Phil Rowe, I just think, is going to maybe outclass him a little bit in this fight on the feet, especially early. I don't know if Nico Price is going to shoot for takedowns. It would probably be smart to secure a takedown early, in my opinion, or push it up against the fence just to get him a little bit tired, because I think where Nico Price holds an advantage is really in the gas tank. When you look at this fight as a whole, it's really going to be in his pressure, his output, his durability. But Phil Rowe is just, he's a good striker, and the length is a problem. So I'm going to roll with Phil Rowe as my pick. Just was checking what's going on in the chat. Let's check the odds on this. Let's try and, what time is it? 8:03. Yeah, I gotta probably pick up the pace a little bit here if we're not even in the main event. Phil Rowe, slight underdog at plus 105. I like the knockout. Odds makers don't like this one to go the distance. Nico Price knockout plus 165. Phil Rowe knockout plus 330. Odds makers like the knockout too. I like the Philip Rowe knockout. I guess I like it potentially earlier, and I like the Nico Price knockout maybe later. But yeah, let me get the fighter who's gonna, worst case scenario, in my opinion, after round one, probably be up 1-0. But yeah, we'll see how Nico Price wears the shots. Probably a live bet opportunity on Nico Price if he's hanging in there and holding up. Very hittable. Very hittable. Yeah. We'll go to the next fight. Oh, this concludes the prelims. Eric Anders taking on Kyle Dawkins. Eric Anders is 14-7. 2-fight losing streak. Kyle Dawkins 11-3. 1-fight losing streak. I don't know. I feel like with a good game plan, Eric Anders could for sure win this fight. He's big. Kyle Dawkins is actually taller, but Anders is physically strong. If he's able to stuff Kyle Dawkins' takedown attempts, he could probably win this fight and fare pretty well on the feet. I kind of like Kyle Dawkins' approach, though. He's aggressive. He's pushing forward. I like him to shoot for the takedowns. Horrible accuracy, right? 31%, but he's persistent with shooting for him. He does have 9 submission victories. And 2 fights ago, we saw Eric Anders. he lost via armbar. Kind of a better fighter in Muniz, but lost that armbar. He might have another. Well, he went to a decision and beat Mershart. So I don't know. It's a tough fight to predict. I'm gonna go with Kyle Daukaus. If he's able to get takedowns, I think he can. I think he can wear on Eric Anders in this matchup, get some takedowns, potentially get a submission. Odds makers like Kyle Daukaus. He's the favorite, -215. Eric Anders, underdog at +185. Odds makers do like this one to go the distance. Gosh, if I had to make a prediction, I would say Kyle Daukaus gets the submission victory. I think there's maybe some value there at +275, but this is probably a fight I'm going to avoid. I think I just have a lot of question marks on Eric Anders, like what version we're going to see of him. Doesn't have a whole lot of output. Just looks defensive a lot of times, and looks comfortable being kind of defensive. So I'm gonna roll with Kyle Daukaus in this. I would maybe put him in like a round robin, but I'm not super confident in just a straight up wager at -215 on him. Sorry. Keep losing my voice. You like Nico via donkey kick? He could do it. Nico Price could definitely do it. He'll probably... I mean, I like Nico Price a lot too. I think he's kind of hittable. And Rowe's just been... He's shown a little bit of power. Couple of KOs here in a row. And before that, Gabriel Green fight. Woo! All right, next fight. We're going to get through this. Jack Hermansson taking on Roman Dolidze. I like Jack in this fight. I like Jack a lot. He's on a one-fight win streak. He looked awesome against Chris Curtis. It was crazy to watch him go out there and just like stand up and strike, win the unanimous decision with Chris Curtis. That was crazy. So I like Jack in a lot of areas. I think his stand-up, especially in the last fight, just garnered a lot of respect from me. Yeah, is he not the most accurate? You can see it here, sure. But for his other skill sets, the striking is more than acceptable. Chris Curtis is dangerous, too. Roman Dolidze is. You can see low output, throws a lot of power. I think this is a rough matchup for Dolidze. And Jack survived Chris Curtis's power, no problem. Yeah, I just think Jack Hermansson is going to be better in a lot of areas. Could Roman catch him with some sort of jiu-jitsu, like a ankle lock or knee bar or something like that? I don't think he can do ankle locks, knee bar, possibly. Yeah, but I like Jack Hermansson a lot in this fight. I don't know if it's going to be a decision or a submission. method of victory. But I don't think he's going to knock him out on the feet. He does have good ground and pound. So it's just, yeah, odds makers is basically a pick 'em for is it going to go the distance or is it not. Roman's loss was a decision to Trevin Giles, who has good stand-up, respectable takedown defense. I'm going to say the decision. I'm going to say the Jack or Manson unanimous decision plus 130. I'm losing my voice here. The next fight we've got is Tai Tuivasa taking on Sergey Pavlicek. What a great fight. I'd have this one at a pick'em. It's not a pick'em. Sergey's the heavy favorite. I'm going to roll with Sergey to win this fight, but you're out of your mind if you don't think I'm taking the Tai Tuivasa first round knockout as my bet. I think, like, in the name of being right, I think Sergey probably wins this fight. Huge reach advantage, 84 inches to 75. I mean, but Tai's great. Tai's a great counterpuncher. He's great in the pocket. Yeah, there's just something about Tai I like a lot. Yeah, so odds makers definitely do not like this going the distance, minus 900. Ooh, plus 425 for the first round knockout? You're out your mind if you don't think I'm taking that. You're out your mind. All right. Okay, but like for my... No, fuck it. For my KO bets prediction, we're going with Tai on the money line and Tai with the first round KO. I can't be like making a pick. And when I say I'm going to bet on that first round KO, it's going to be a small sprinkle. You know, it's going to be like half a unit. Whatever the minimum, you know, is what I recommend taking there. I'd probably... Let's look for some value here. I mean, I don't know if there is any value here on the KO. Yeah, minus 800. Perhaps we could formulate a same game parlay that gives us some, you know, okay, under a round and a half. That's great. KO. Minus 230. We could even improve it, I'm sure. Like, take out this under 1.5. Do round 1. KO. Minus 165. You know? If you're confident in one fighter or the other and you think it's going to be a knockout, always good to mix in the knockdowns, right? That's just my opinion. It's rare you see a fight where, like, the fighter who gets knocked down more knocks out the opponent. I don't know if that makes sense. The one who's doing the knocking down generally scores the knockout victory, is the logic behind that. The next fight is Mateus Nicolau taking on Matt Schnell. Matt Schnell had to shave his head to make weight. I find that crazy. He doesn't even have... This is like kind of how his hair looked, too. Like, it's cleaned up here, but, you know, it's not that much hair. It's got a lot of body hair. Maybe I should re-examine that. See if it wasn't just... No, because he kept his beard. I need to research this fight more. Mateus Nicolau, he's heading into this on a 5-fight win streak. Has been terrific. Good overall game. Matt Schnell, entertaining as hell. He's on a 1-fight win streak. Tough. Good cardio. I picked against him in his last fight. So I guess this is an example. Oh, this was a submission, though. It says he scored 1 knockdown. He hurt Derji, or whatever his name is. He hurt Matt Schnell several times in that first round, early second round. I remember that. Matt Schnell, very hittable. Very hittable. I don't think Matt Schnell is going to be able to score takedowns against Nicolau. I think Nicolau's just got a good skill set for this fight. Give me Mateus Nicolau. I'm going to say I like the fight to end inside the distance. Matt Schnell is a wild man, and Nicolau's a heavy favorite. It looks like minus 365. Matt Schnell, big underdog, plus 300. Again, I'm not opposed to sprinkling like a Matt Schnell knockout prop. Like, the dude's entertaining. He does get caught, though. He does get caught. Odds makers don't like this one to go the distance, just barely at minus 135. Yeah, I'm going to say this is a knockout. This is going to end in a knockout. That's my opinion. That's my prediction on it. Probably going to stay away from... I might do like a knockout in a round robin bet. Probably going to stay away from it. Betting on this fight straight up. I'll put my Twitter handle, by the way, in the chat right now. I post all my picks, so I'll post them all tomorrow morning. I generally get that done. Let me put that down. Don't be sending me no spam either. No shit coins. FTX. Gonna go with Mateus Nicolau in this fight. Brian Barberena taking on Rafael Dos Anjos. Man, I don't really get Rafael's last, Fiziev, obviously, that was an important fight to get him back into the title picture, who dropped out of the first fight, which is why he fought Moicano. Islam dropped out of the fight back in November of 2020. That's why he fought Paul Felder. I don't know. It's just kind of a weird... Like, you see him go from fighting Leon Edwards, Chiesa, Usman, Covington. Now he's fighting Brian Barberena, who's not ranked, and maybe he called out RDA. I just don't really understand how this fight came about, to be perfectly honest. I think RDA is just going to outclass him in a lot of different areas. Brian Barberena, he's on a 3-fight win streak. He is solid. Good gas tank, good output. But I I think RDA could 30-27 him, and like anywhere this fight plays out. If it's on the ground, if it's stand up. I don't really see a... Sorry, I'm getting burps. I'm like Clay Guida in between rounds. Brian Barberena, what are his lose bys? Lots of decision losses. He's a 500 fighter in decisions. Yeah, I think this is going to be a rough matchup for him. And you know, it's not like RDA has looked bad, and didn't look great against Fiziev, but it's not like he hasn't looked. Fiziev is Fiziev. Fiziev is Fiziev. You know, I think he's gonna look really, really good in this fight, and I just think it's a weird, like, matchup against an unranked dude. You're number 7 in your respective division. Like, it's just a weird fight to take, in my opinion. Next fight is the main event. We had a poll going. Let's go ahead and end this. We have 2 votes in. And we got 2 picks for Kevin Holland. That's a sucker pick. I'm just kidding. I like Kevin Holland in this matchup as well. He's on a 1-fight losing streak. It was obviously to Hamzat. He's been asking for the Stephen Thompson fight for a long time. I feel like the UFC and Stephen Thompson just like made it happen. I think it's at Is this at 180? I thought it was at 170. I could be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure this is taking place at 170, not 185. Stephen Thompson is coming off of a little bit of a long layoff. You know, it should be a great fight. I expect a lot of it to play out on the feet. Stephen Thompson, striking specialist. Kevin Holland, very good striker in his own right, carries a lot of power. Also has length, I believe, in this matchup, 81 inches for reach advantage versus 75. You got about an average cock between the reach difference per the internet. Stephen Thompson, Kevin Holland. Yeah, I like Kevin Holland here. 0 KO losses for Kevin Holland. Very good striker. He's been drilling his wrestling too. If anyone's going to get takedowns in this, I think it'll be Kevin Holland. Yeah, I think he catches the Karate Hottie. I think he catches the Karate Hottie. Isn't that his nickname? Oh, Wonder Boy. Wonder Boy, that's right. Wonder Boy. Odds makers don't like this one to go the distance. I agree. I think Kevin Holland's going to get the KO. I think Stephen Thompson, you know, how he wins against a striker is he freezes them, right? He freezes them up real bad. We've seen that in a lot of his fights historically. I'm thinking of like Luque, Masvidal, Woodley, we won't... Till, to a degree, Jeff Neal. The last fight's Burns, Bilal. They just kind of mauled him. So I'm sure Stephen Thompson's also happy to get a stand-up fight here. Could it be a, you know, kind of a point-off matchup? I could see that. I'm going to probably avoid... Kevin Holland's got such awesome knockout prowess, though. 16 knockouts, carries good power. We did see Stephen Thompson get knocked out by Pettis recently. Not that recently. 2019. That was his only KO loss. Gosh, why do the odds makers not want this one to go the distance? Why? In my head, okay, I'm going to change my prediction. I think it's going to be Well, if it's the point decision, you got to go with Stephen Thompson, right? Just because he is so adept at that style of fighting. I'm going to go Kevin Holland knockout. I'm going to stick with my initial prediction. Odds makers we saw did not like the fight to go the distance at minus 225. The knockouts at plus 140. Definitely not going to bet on that knockout. Might even omit the main event from my round robin. But I will definitely post my picks on my Twitter tomorrow. Speaking of Twitter, we got some crazy stuff to talk about. Let's talk, before we get into like trending topics, let's talk about the James Krause situation, right? It should still be. I know MMA News had, Ariel probably has the document up, but basically Ontario did a ban of sports gambling. Alberta, I believe, followed. The UFC came out and said, like about a month ago, they just released a statement that, fighters, coaches, you can't be gambling on fights. There was the situation a few weeks ago involving Derek Minor where, there was some sort of undisclosed injury heading into that fight, and there was a sharp betting line change right before the fight. James Krause is the coach of him. James Krause he's been trying to start up this gambling, trying to do what I'm doing, and I'm trying to do what he was doing, he was doing it. He had more followers and stuff, more of a reach, but put together, he was likely just gambling on fighters. And I think well, first I want to read this statement because it's James Krause is done in the UFC. It's from Hunter Campbell, UFC Chief Business Officer. As per my communication to all athletes and managers on October 17, 2022, UFC athlete conduct policy expressly prohibits UFC blah, blah, blah. Okay. We just went over this. It says, here's the meat and potatoes. This is what I want to talk about. UFC has since advised Krause and the respective managers working with impacted fighters that effective immediately, fighters who choose to continue to be coached by Krause or who continue to train in his gym will not be permitted to participate in UFC events pending the outcome of aforementioned government investigations. Further, UFC has released Derek Minor from the organization. So I want to read real quick. If he's fucking over the house, the casinos, the sports books, does it hurt me? No. Do I think it's unethical? Yeah, I do. But basically the argument here is that he's got access to information that the insider information that the market's not privy to, right? And I think the damning part, and I was looking, I thought Ariel had it up here. Okay. I'm going to just blow this up so I can read it. The Ontario Alcohol and Gaming Commission of Ontario have required Ontario gaming operators to stop offering and accepting UFC bets to provide necessary safeguards against odds manipulation, match fixing, and other integrity issues. I think the match fixing and potentially like outcome fixing fights is like the big concern here, right? I think if those allegations are true, then yeah, like I think that's warrants probably a lifetime ban from like professional MMA for James Krause, but yeah, I don't know. It's kind of a crazy situation. Like, so if you're match fixing and you're like telling your fighter to fight a certain way, because you have money on the fight, and I'm not saying he did this, but there's just no, money can't, it's never like a gentleman's game, if that makes sense. Like, there's risk, there's a lot of money that goes into risk assessment, and you can't, even like Pete Rose, he says he only ever bet on the Reds, right? He might have even said like he only did money line bets, and like what's the harm in that? Like betting on the team that you coach, betting on the team that you play for to win. Like, is there maybe something psychological that is in play there? Sure. But I don't think that's the end of the world. I think when you're like, if you're like manipulating an outcome or maybe privy to insider information like a Derek Minor injury, where it's going to be like, and you're the coach and you're like, we're getting out, like this fight's ending in the first round, win or lose. Like, I think that's problematic. I think it's problematic if you communicate that sort of game plan with your fighter. It just kind of shows a disregard for their health, in my opinion. Ooh. This is absolutely absurd. So Elon has started reporting on like the suppression that existed at Twitter prior to him buying it, and it's all pertaining to the 2020 election. So if you follow this Matt Taibbi guy, MTAIBBI, there is a long thread basically talking about how, and I can't speak on it yet, but I read the first couple of them, and I don't think it's irresponsible to read at least the first couple of them, just to paint the picture, right, of what this is doing, just so I'm accurate in my reporting. Thread, here it starts, 3 hours ago. The Twitter files. Here we go. Let's click on it. What you're about to read is the first installment in a series based upon thousands of internal documents obtained by sources at Twitter. So these are documents that were communicated internally, and I mean, back in 2022, or 2020, who could have known that like Elon Musk was going to purchase Twitter and be privy to all of this data? You wouldn't know. But it's, Elon bought Twitter and he's trying to establish trust with the public. So he's deciding to make this stuff public. The Twitter files tell an incredible story from inside one of the world's largest and most influential social media platforms. It is a Frankensteinian tale of a human-built mechanism grown out of control of its designer. Twitter, in its conception, was a brilliant tool for enabling instant mass communication, making true real-time global conversation possible for the first time. In an early conception, Twitter more than lived up to its mission statement, giving people the power to create and share ideas of information instantly without barriers. As time progressed, however, the company was slowly forced to add those barriers. The first tools for controlling speech were designed to combat the likes of spam and financial fraudsters. Slowly over time, Twitter staff and executives began to find more and more uses for these tools. Outsiders began petitioning the company to manipulate speech as well. First a little, then more often, then constantly. So I think that responsibly sets the stage for that guy's profile. So go check it out. Elon posted it to his Twitter so you can read his feed, find Matt's name there, look it up that way. Whatever's easiest. Yep, you can see it here. James Krause trending. Just, I don't need to go back to it too much, but like, wish him nothing but the best in navigating this, because it's kind of a fucked up situation. And also to the fighters, like, they gotta find new gyms. A lot of them, you know, aren't the best off. Yeah, I mean, the UFC's got the PI. I'm not sure what like policies are there, if fighters can just like go and train there. But yeah, someone's he hurt the sport a lot, whether he wanted to or not. You know, he hurt the he hurt it a lot. Who's Vijaya Gad? The former head lawyer for Twitter, Vijaya Gad, tried desperately to stop Elon Musk from buying Twitter. She failed. Now he is exposing everything she wanted to hide. Vijaya Gad had more interference in the U.S. election than Russia ever did. Jack Dorsey. I mean, he's involved in this. There's shit coming out. Shit coming out against Jack Dorsey. Where's Elon was trending because he said he was going to publish all this, and then it's like a joke, you know? It's a joke. Hillary's like, hello? I'd like to place an order. It's a sick joke, but you know, people were like, it was trending a little while ago. I don't need to talk about it. Did Elon? But it talks a lot. I guess the Hunter Biden laptop story is kind of covered in that Twitter shit. Let's see. Who's Northrop Grumman? A space and aeronautics defense company? Oh, wait. They're going to unveil the new B-21 Raider stealth bomber. Cool. Who's Emma? It looks like there's a lot of Emmas. Kind of confused who Emma is. Trending. DeGrom, the Twitter files. Yeah, that's what you can look up to find it. We've covered a lot of this. Let's see. Let's back off of it. Let's find something funny to cover. Entertainment. Shag Lizzie. I don't know. I don't know. I think we're ready to conclude this. We got into some dangerous topics. Yeah, we got into some dangerous topics. Had a good time doing the show. I'll be back on Sunday morning. I'll do my Sunday morning show. Like I said, if you look in the chat comments, I'll have my Twitter handle there. Give me a follow. I'll post my pics. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel. I appreciate you tuning in. Thanks for watching. Have a great weekend. Peace.